Every month, I help 4 million plus Muslims with their personal finances. And I've written a best-selling book published by Wiley, and I need to let you into a secret. I hate budgeting, and all the rich people that I actually know don't budget. There are so many people out there who will tell you to budget. And you know what? I'm guilty of that too. But 99.9% of you and me won't budget and don't do it already. And do you know why? Because it's painful and boring. And you know what? I'm in that exact same camp too. So unless there's an actual life event like buying a house coming up or a wedding coming up, I will not budget. And alhamdulillah, I get on perfectly fine like many other people do. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 steps on how you can live your money life like a pro without a single budget in sight. Get the important things right. So for most people, that will be mortgages, utility bills, education, transport, and groceries. This will constitute the vast majority of your expenses. If you nail that, you nail everything. Here's how these expenses break down for me personally. As you can see, between me and my wife, this adds up to about £3,950. If there's going to be any fat to cut, then it's going to be from this list of things. Nothing else that we're going to do when it comes from a budgeting perspective is going to have that much of an impact. And honestly, there's nothing more annoying than seeing people who are just focused on how much coffee they're having, and but they're not talking about the fact that their mortgage is still on the higher rate. If you're going to cut down 3 coffees, you're going to save a few pounds. If you're going to change your mortgage to the lower rate, you're going to save thousands of pounds. So focus on the big important things. Credit cards, overdrafts, buy now, pay later, payday loans. Avoid these as much as you possibly can do, because these are the high interest traps that the financial sector sets for you. So as long as you avoid these entirely, you're going to stop yourself from overreaching beyond that which you should be extending to. And of course, many of these things are haram anyway, so you shouldn't be doing that. Naughty. Naughty. I have done a detailed video on my views on credit cards, which you can watch here. And look, financing, halal financing, when it is done strategically to buy assets that increase in value over time, is actually really useful. But credit cards and overdrafts to fund your consumer lifestyle is not going to increase your net worth and should be avoided. These are the devil's spawn because they are getting you to overspend and make impulse buys. Did you really need that Nike trainer or that Hermes bag? Did you actually need that or not? So folks, just don't get yourself on that drug in the first place. So when you don't have that credit card in your pocket at all and you walk into a shop and you see something that you kind of want to buy, then you're not going to have the ability to buy it, and you're going to protect yourself from that problem later down the line. Doing this one thing will deal with about 75% of your budgeting issues, because you've got rid of that money and it's no longer sat in your account. And if you're following the steps that we just talked about, i.e. you don't have a credit card or an overdraft to turn to, then you literally don't have the money in your current account to be able to do silly things with. And the first thing that you've done is a really useful thing, which is park away a big chunk of it into investments. It might sound really stupid, but out of sight does equal out of mind. And just set it up as a direct debit or a standing order, and it will just get taken out automatically every single month. Investment firms like Curate Capital, Wahid Invest, Simply Ethical, all cater for standing orders and direct debits, so you can check them out. It really can be a powerful and life-changing effect on your finances. I recently discovered that we had about 7,000 lying around in a savings pot on our Starling bank account because it was literally hidden away from me. It was actually in the app, but you have to kind of click through a few different things. And that was a nice surprise because we'd just been steadily saving for quite a while to build up that pot. So see, out of sight does really mean out of mind as well. And mentally as well, if you've got a bank account that is full of cash, then naturally you feel a little bit more largesse. And when you go into a restaurant, you're happy to order this, that, and the other. But when you're at the end of the month and you don't have any money in your account, then you're naturally a little bit more careful about your spending because you're thinking, hang on, I'm really kind of pushing it. So put yourself at the edge from day one by putting all of your money into your investments. And so then you're kind of already going to be mentally restricting your spending. Look, what will a budget actually achieve if you do it? It will give you a set of rules that you have to follow. It will say don't spend more than this, or you can spend a bit more on these certain things. But if you get your mindset right, then that is effectively the end result of a budget in the first place. And look, I can tell you now what a budget will tell you. It will say don't spend as much on food, on tech, on clothes, on luxury cars, on holidays. It's like dieting and trying to lose weight. But unless you make a change of habit and you change your lifestyle, then any short-term dieting fad that you take part in won't really stick. And it's the same for your finances. Yeah, you might go on this financial yo-yo diet where you cut out the coffee or you stop going on holidays for a year, but if you don't change your mindset, you're going to be back at square one in a year's time. So how do you change your mindset? Well, the way you change your mindset is by having a really clear why at the front of your mind at any point. And you might have a secondary why as well that makes sure that when it comes to a situation where you might be spending, you think back to your why. Why am I investing? Why am I saving? What's my big financial goal right now? And that will stop you from spending on whatever thing that you really shouldn't be spending on. We have got a halal investment checklist, which there is a link to in the description below, that will help you actually develop your why and your financial goals for your personal journey. So make sure that you download that and fill it out. For most people, the why looks something like this. Step 1, get an emergency saving pot together. Step 2, get yourself onto the housing ladder. Step 3, deal with some significant life events like a marriage or kids, university or Hajj. And then finally, your why becomes, let's make sure we have a comfortable retirement and build a diversified pot. So those are the kind of whys that you have to choose from. Right, one more step is coming up, but before we do that, I've noticed that only 39% of you are subscribed to this channel. That means that 61% of you are wandering aimlessly like the children of Israel through the wilderness. So please come in from the cold and join us by hitting the subscribe button, and we will look after you. Grow your income quicker than you grow your appetite. This is possibly the most important step of this entire video. Because look, as long as your income is growing faster than your tastes and the expensiveness of them is growing, then you're going to end up with more and more in savings and investments, and then those are going to pile up and make a return too. So the difference between your income and your expenditure will grow even further. But you know what? This is often the hardest thing to do for folks who have a growing salary or a larger salary. You have bankers and city lawyers and others who are on huge salaries, but somehow they're still in debt because they want to look like they are actually living a very rich life. And so they buy all of these things on credit and they make sure that they are in the finest houses and restaurants. And ultimately what ends up happening is all of that money that they're earning, they actually end up in debt. So make sure you live that simple life and don't overextend. Really enjoy being a family person and don't worry about what other people might think of you, because all of that money that you're spending on financing a really luxury car, at the end of it, after 2-3 years, you're going to own none of it. And so most of that money you've just given away to someone else. Whereas your friend who owns that £10,000 second-hand car, at the end of it, that car is probably still worth £6,000-7,000. That is money that they've actually still got. So it's not about what it looks like. Think about the bigger picture and the long term when it comes to your finances, and you will come out ahead. And a key moment to watch out for when you are about to go down this slippery slope of becoming a bit too posh is when you're sending your kids potentially to private school or not. When you're about to buy a car and you're tempted by all of these really nice cars on offer, or when you're thinking about moving a house and you might go to a much nicer area. I'm not saying don't do any of these things. Sometimes that's the right decision and there's no problem with that if you can afford it. But these are the critical points where sometimes people end up overextending. I've seen situations where people are sending their kids to private school and they are really living hand to mouth as a result of that for several decades at times. I'm not sure that is necessarily healthy, and you need to make sure that when you're making those non-reversible decisions, you really can afford it for the long term. So there we are, folks. Those are my 5 steps to avoiding budgeting entirely but still living your life like a money pro. For more content like this, please check out the video at the top of the screen and hit the like button, and make sure, of course, that you are subscribed, O ye children of Israel. And is there any budget avoiding tips that I've actually missed out in this video? I'd love to hear them from you in the comments below. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.